Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Amina and today we're doing an updated Q&A. I asked on my community tab on here on YouTube for questions and I got loads of them, so I thought I would answer. Most of them are PhD related and academic, and I'll leave the timestamps for them all down below, so if you want to skip to a particular question then you can go ahead. But yeah, let's get started. How can we find or start a PhD in the UK as an international student? As an international student, there are a ton of different ways. Depends on if you want to go down the funded route or the non-funded route. If you want to go down the self-funded route, then it's super easy. You just need to find programs to apply for and let the supervisor know, the PI know that you've got funding. You still need to have, of course, like experience and a master's, etc. You still need to be the right person for the position. But if you're not looking for funding, it's a little bit easier than if you're someone that's wanting funding as well. You may need to, you will need to sort out your visa and all that kind of stuff. And that does, I hear, take quite a lot of time and is quite cumbersome. So that's something that you need to be aware of. But essentially, if you're going down non-funded route, self-funded, then that's one route of doing it. Or if you want to go down the funded route, then you want to apply to PhD programs that fund international students, of which there are many. I'd highly recommend using somewhere like findaphd.com, which is a platform website that allows you to search for and filter for, like, if you're international, if it has funding, etc., and they will sort all that out for you. I had a ton of people in my lab that were international from places like, we had loads of Europeans, but also like India, Iran, just loads of other places from around the world, and they were all absolutely fine. Just visa issues were the thing that I could hear all the time them complaining about, but otherwise it was absolutely fine. Okay, next question. What are the key requirements to get admission in a PhD program? Number one is having, firstly having a cover letter or a personal statement and your CV. That's the first thing that you usually have to submit. And then once you've done that, they're going to be looking for whether you have the right research experience and if you're the right person for the position. So that could mean that they want someone that has used certain methods before or has a certain skill set, but a master's is sometimes mostly required, but not always. So I've seen people that have come from like other countries, so like, for example, like Spain or Germany, where your degrees are slightly longer or slightly more, they have more research experience than our degrees, and so they can get into, and I've seen them get into PhD programs without having a master's. They usually do, but you can get in without a master's if you have the experience. Let's say you have worked as a research assistant, then you've obviously accumulated quite a lot of research experience, and so that could cover the basis of having a master's. However, it is sometimes dictated by the funder. So the person that is, and the funding body that provides the money, they may say that you can only accept a student that has a master's or that has a particular background, that is from the UK, that is EU, etc. So that may be a requirement. So for the most part, it is the fact that you are determined, you have some research experience, you have some sort of like career aspirations to be in research, and you are able to present that and show that to your potential supervisor when you go into interview. Okay, Catty said, "Hi, thanks all for your content. I admire you so much." Thank you so much. One question: how to mentally separate work when you're with your family? Okay, this is something that I've struggled with quite a lot in the past because I just haven't had any boundaries. I've just worked at any time of the day. I've worked in the morning, I've worked in the evening, I've worked when the kids are awake. I'll find times when they're napping, and I've really struggled with it. But the past 6 months, I would say, I sat down with myself and my husband, and I was like, we have to have better structure when it comes to work, because it's really ridiculous, like working to 11 p.m. unnecessarily. There's no deadline. It's just because it's just the culture, like I work in the evening. It's just what I'm used to doing for my PhD. But I've had to be a lot more present and a lot more sort of active, obviously, now that you have kids, etc. And so I've had to tell myself, no. And the way that I've done that is just by literally just being very disciplined and not touching things like my laptop, not feeling guilty about scrolling on social media. Like I would, in the evenings, when I'm scrolling on Instagram, I'd feel really bad about it. I'd be like, I'm wasting time, and I wouldn't do it. I could go days without like scrolling. I post and then I just go away. Like I don't scroll. But then I realized actually like it's just time, you need to relax and you need to take time off. You can't be working all hours of the day. And yeah, so I think just having discipline, not feeling guilty about relaxing, and actually just switching off and being present and having, like, I would put my phone on the table. I wouldn't even know where it is half the time. Like I don't know where my phone is. I'll put it away when the kids are with me or when I'm with my family. I'll put my phone away because I just don't want it to be around. I don't want it to be a part of the family. Like this is a bit of metal. Like I don't want it to be like whenever mummy's there, her phone is with her. So yeah, that's really important to me as well. Next, first, salam and thank you for your time and efforts to help us. You're welcome. Would you recommend accountancy or software engineering for someone who has no clue but wants to get a degree in either of these fields? Thanks. Yes, I would. Accountancy or software engineering, they're very different. Anyone get a degree in either one of these fields, I think you need to kind of decide. I could say to you, yeah, just go for one of them and it'd be fine, but imagine doing accountancy and realizing actually you want to do software engineering. Like they're quite different. So if I were you, I would actually just give yourself time to decide what you want to do. Speak to an accountant, speak to a software engineer, maybe try to get some, I don't know how old you are, but maybe try to get some experience or a bit of time seeing what they do. Go online, and there's quite a lot of day in the lives of, so search day in the life of an accountant, day in the UK, for example. I'm not sure where you are as well, but day in the life of an accountant, day in the life of a software engineer. Look at job roles, go to job websites, go to LinkedIn and search for accountants, search for software engineers. Accountancy is very wide, by the way. You can literally go into so many different fields within accountancy. So look at what options there are post accountancy, look at what options there are post software engineering, and just give yourself time to do that research, because you're saying you want to do a degree, which means you're going to be putting in 4 years. Accountancy, software engineering, they're going to be 3-4 years. Accountancy has other accredited courses that you do afterwards. So it's a lot of time and money for something that if you're not 100% sure about. So definitely do your research. Next, as a fellow medical content creator, how have you been able to juggle everyday work, responsibilities, and make time for video creations? I'm very lucky and privileged in that I send my children to nursery 3 days a week. So they go 3 days a week and they go to my mum, their grandparents, 1 day a week. So I have 4 days within the week that they're my working days basically. And I've just decided to do that. So for their first 2 years of life, they were with me. I left work, I was mothering. And then I decided the healthiest way of doing it is by putting them into nursery. They've been thriving, and it gives me time to also do the content creation, do the responsibilities, etc. But I also have to give huge credit to the fact that as a family, as a team, we share all responsibilities. If 2 adults live in a house, 2 adults have to clean. If 2 adults are using a bathroom, 2 adults have to clean that bathroom. If 2 adults are eating, 2 adults have to cook and clean. And I think that's really important. And I think it doesn't matter if you're a stay-at-home mum or if you're a working mum, whatever kind of mum or parent you are, there has to be shared responsibilities across the board, because otherwise it's just not fair and it's also impossible. I would be lying if I sat here and said, I do it all myself, because I don't. I have a family and we do things together as a family, and it's really important for you. I'm not sure if you are who you are, if mother, father, I'm not sure, but it's really important that responsibilities are shared. If you live at home with your parents, helping your parents out with laundry or cleaning or whatever it is that your parents do, and making sure that everyone's helping out so everyone has balance, and then you're also able to go and do your own thing at the same time. So that's how I'm able to do it currently, and that works really well for me. But prior to when they were in nursery, I would just try to schedule my time really well, try to make sure that I'm using the hours that I have as best I can and prioritizing. So the key thing that I would recommend is prioritizing and choosing the most important task to do. If I have 1 hour, I'm not going to decide to edit a video, because that's not something that, firstly, it will take me more than an hour. And secondly, it's something that I could outsource and give to someone else to do. Whereas in that hour, I'm able to maybe do a bit of research about something that, or design something that only I can design. So yeah, I hope that helps. Is it risky to do a master's thesis project in a novel topic with little to no existing literature review, or would you say it's an opportunity? A bit of both. Little to no, depends. If that's 5 papers, that's okay. If that's 1 paper, bit of an issue. I wouldn't say it's risky. Nothing's risky as long as you're able to, I don't know, I guess as long as you're able to use that to generate a good enough research question and generate results from it, it's fine. I mean, ultimately it's a master's thesis, so it doesn't have to be like original, like fully original. You're able to kind of build on what other people have done. But I would say it will make your life a little bit difficult. It's not risky, it just will make your life difficult, because when you're writing your literature review and when you're trying to like reference and critique, you have nothing to reference and critique. So you're going to only be reaching out for that 1 paper or no paper. So I would probably skip that. I'd probably say broaden out a little bit and look for something that you can maybe discuss in a bit more depth. And you know what? One of the reasons why I love literature reviews is because of the fact that you can like collate all the papers together and do all your reading and add everything up and like have it all together. If there's nothing to collate, if there's nothing to discuss, it's not really fun. It's up to you, but I don't think it's not a risk as long as you're able to justify what you're doing and like actually do something. Can you share all the universities you have been to and rate from your best experience to your least? Okay, I've been to let me start from the beginning. King's College London for my undergrad, Imperial for my master's, UCL for my PhD, and then I went to Roehampton for my PGCE, PCE, and then I went to Sheffield University and I did like a teaching, half a master's basically. I need to do like another module to fill it up. But yeah, I would say my best learning experience, they're all very different. PhD, you have no contact, I have no contact with like a professor. I'm not in lectures basically. So I haven't been taught per se in a PhD, whereas obviously undergrad is very different. Imperial, again, it was like small seminar groups. I wasn't in like a massive lecture theatre. So it's quite hard for me to compare and like not fair for me to compare that aspect. But I would say like all the London universities I've been to, King's, UCL and Imperial, they are all amazing universities. You learn so much. Quality of education is really high. I just have a bit of qualms about like academic writing and how that's taught, but that's across the board. Like I think that's worldwide, to be completely honest. So that's nothing to do with the universities that I've been to per se. Okay, next question. How to prepare before college or university interview? So number 1, think of questions. So think of general questions and think of specific questions. So for general questions, you want to think about questions like, tell me a bit about yourself, tell me when you were involved in a project, tell me when you were a team worker, tell me what your career aspirations are, tell me when you've done X, Y, Z. So those are like, general questions and you can prepare for those. But then the specific questions is where it really matters. And this is where you look at your cover letter. You said university, so personal statement, cover letter, CV. Look at that and try to determine some questions that you think your interviewer is going to want to know more about. So maybe if you talked about a project that you worked on, they might ask you, okay, can you tell me more about this project? What exactly did you do? What was your involvement? Did you fail at any point? What did you have to overcome? Any barriers, any challenges? So there may be something that you haven't elaborated on and they might want to have that elaboration. If, for example, you've spoken about the fact that you want to, again, this is very broad, so I'm not sure what you're going into, but let's say, for example, you are applying for a degree in engineering, and you said that you want to go on and be an engineer, you might be asked, okay, can you go into more detail? What kind of engineer? Where did your inspiration come from? Why do you want to be an engineer? Have you got any experience shadowing or working in engineering fields or background? So just be ready for more specific questions. I am completing Bachelor of Science in IT and I want to join a medical school now. Is it possible to get a completely unrelated degree after graduation? So you're doing IT undergrad right now, but you want to do medicine. Is it possible? Absolutely. The key thing is, again, I'm going to be basing this off the UK. The key thing here is that you have some sort of skill set, some sort of experience within the medical field, and you are able to translate your prior experience or your IT background into medicine. So the one thing is when interviewers or when anyone that's involved in this application process, when they see someone who has gone from something completely different to something else, they want to understand and know and kind of hear the justification for why. Is it because you just had a life crisis, midlife crisis, quarter life crisis, and you just want to change? Is it because you're someone that gets bored easily? So you're going to go into medicine and then get bored of it. So they don't want that. They want to make sure that this person that is going from, IT to medicine genuinely wants to go into medicine, genuinely has a passion for the field, genuinely is passionate about helping people, genuinely is passionate about being a doctor. So you need to show that why? Like, you really need to justify it. So you have to have done experience within healthcare. You need to be able to say what skill sets, because your IT degree is not useless, it's still going to be useful. How can you translate that IT degree, the skills you've gained, all the information you've learned, how can you then pull that into a degree in medicine? So because you've got an IT degree, you're going to have to go into 5-year medicine. You've got no science background, so it's important that they understand how you're going to be translating those skills into medicine. Next question is, thank you for the opportunity. You're welcome. I want to improve in my writing. I struggle mostly with making my sentences or paragraphs flow. I've since started to use more connecting words, but I feel like my sentences don't make a nice flow. How to make sentences flow and make sense? Good question. This is a tough one. I've been asked this quite a lot, for obvious reasons, and I find that my answer isn't very helpful, but it is the way that works. And that is practice and reading excellent academic text and then practicing to write like that. So let's say you're in the science field, reading loads of research papers, reading lots of articles, reading any kind of journals, papers and texts that write about the science, and then seeing if you can write, pull out maybe keywords, what kind of terms do they use, what kind of sentence structures do they use, and writing that out again, maybe writing it in your own words, or just looking at sort of highlighting what keywords they use and how they link sentences together. It's not just about, and I know you said adding connecting words, it's not just about adding connecting words, it's also about actually expanding your sentences, making them flow better, starting them better, ending them better, linking them all together so it all makes sense. Structure also makes such a difference. It's not just about the sentence, but also how it's structured within a paragraph. All of that adds up to make your academic writing sound beautiful and flawless. Okay, hi, may I know how common it is doing a second PhD? I want to do another PhD. Also, is it mandatory to mention your first PhD? Yes, I mean, not mandatory, but I think it's good to. I don't see why not. It's not a secret. I feel like there was something I read a while ago that said something like, you can't do another PhD. Some funding bodies don't allow it. So if you've, one of their requirements is the fact that you are an undergrad, or you're a master's, so you don't have a PhD. So I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know if that's factual across the board, but you can do another PhD. I don't see why you would. I would love to do another PhD, but I don't see why you would, because you can just go ahead and do a postdoc, or go ahead and do your own research. There's no need to do another PhD because you've already got one. But I'm sure you can. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you can. Good luck. Hi Amina, I was wondering if you could give some advice on how to deal with a bad PhD interview, i.e. a question that caught you off guard, picking up bad vibes from the interview panel, etc. Okay, a bad interview, I'm going to start off by saying a bad interview might feel bad, but it's actually not bad. So there's been times when I've gone to have an interview and I feel like I've absolutely messed it up, but I actually haven't. So it may just be, you may just feel like you did, but you didn't. That's fine. But let's say you actually did. Just try your best to, and this is so hard, but try your best not to focus on that one question that threw you off. And if you really want to, I'd recommend emailing the interviewer afterwards and saying, hey, I remember there was a question you asked me about X, Y, and Z. I wasn't able to answer it at the time, but here is my answer. And just coming back with the answer afterwards. Number three, if you're getting bad vibes, maybe that's just a sign that that position, that lab, that group, that job isn't for you. If you're getting bad vibes in the interview, then that maybe means that that isn't the place that you want to spend your time in. And sometimes I feel like sometimes we look at a career, a job, a position, a person, and we have this golden halo. Like we think that is like the epitome of the perfect place that we want to be, or the perfect person that we want to be with, or perfect thing that we want. And then when we actually get there, it's not what we expect, and that is okay. And I think it's better that you realize that at that time than entering the job and absolutely hating it. So might actually be a good interview. Try your best to just keep it up. If not, email them afterwards, and maybe it's just not somewhere that you want to work, to be honest. But yeah, if you enjoyed this Q&A, let me know down below. I tried to answer as many questions as I could. And if you have any other questions, don't forget to leave them in the comment box down below. I always reply back to my comments as much as I can. So leave them down below. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. And I hope to see you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe to see more from me. I'll see you soon. Bye.